marketing, explosive growth, and revolutionary secrets that can catapult your business to new heights. You're now listening to the Underground Marketer Podcast with your host, Tudor Dumitrescu, the one podcast devoted to showing new businesses how to market themselves for high growth.
Welcome to the Underground Marketer. This is the place where we deliver the real truth about marketing and explore big ideas that can help new businesses thrive and grow into big ones. I'm your host, Tudor, and today we're going to discuss the idea of the magic pill versus the process when it comes to success and getting results in business. So, from many years running a marketing agency, I've come to discover that there are some people who perpetually struggle in business and nothing they ever do works out. And at the same time, they do put in the effort, so it's not that they're not putting in the effort that things aren't working out. They work very hard, but yet they get little to no results for all of their effort. Typically, these are people who have another job as well, and they're using the income that they make from their job to try to get their business going, but nothing they do ever makes any difference. They just basically spend their money, and that's pretty much it. So the first thing that these people do wrong is that they always look for simple one-hit wonder solutions for their problems. For example, they search for the one copywriter or marketer who can come in and turn their fledgling business around. The guy who can write some different copy for whatever product or service they have, and suddenly they're going to start getting sales. Or the one ad company that can come in, take over their Facebook ads, and suddenly they can start generating revenue with it, even though they haven't made a single sale of Facebook for years, that they've tried. These people, the one common characteristic is that whatever they're doing, they're always looking for a quick trick that will basically solve all their problems and make them rich and successful. And the problem is that no such trick exists. There are no ready-made answers in business. And if you think about it, this becomes very clear very easily, in my opinion. If there were ready-made answers, being successful in business would be easy. Everybody could do it. And the truth is that everybody can't do it. And that's why everyone is not successful. There is no easy answer. There's no, follow these steps and you're going to be successful no matter what. So finding a strong business model, and by a strong business model, I mean that you find the right product market fit, you find a good strategy, and you can actually grow your business and scaling it. So finding a strong business model actually is a process of trial and error. It's not just this one event, that based on a one trick that you learn from somebody that suddenly makes all the difference. It's not like that. It's a process. It's based on trial and error, but at the same time, it's also based upon thinking and a deep understanding of the underlying factors that affect your industry or market. In order to be really successful, you need to provide something that's in demand, something that a lot of people want, and then you have to sell that to them. You can't just think that, you have this wonderful product and you're just going to try to sell it no matter what. If you do that, it's not going to work out. The service that you're selling isn't something that's demanded. You can keep looking for new sales techniques and new copywriting techniques, new ad techniques, whatever. And you're just not going to get any sort of meaningful results. You're not going to make any progress. So people who think that they can skip this process of trial and error, finding a business model that really works and that really addresses a need that actually exists in the marketplace, and they think they can jump through this process and jump straight to the breakthrough, they're mistaken. They want to go from zero straight to the thing that's going to sell like hot bread. And that's not going to happen. As much as we like to dream, and as much as many people like to think that they can be successful, and I do think that people can be successful, but it's not this one thing that they will discover, this little trick that once they have this, then suddenly everything changes. It's not like that. It's most of the time, it's a process. You have to go through a series of steps to actually move towards this business model that's actually in tune with the market, in tune with what people need, and can actually help you reach your financial goals. So a lot of people, when it comes to success in business, think that sales is the number one skill. And personally, I agree that sales is high up there, certainly in the top 3, but I don't think that it's the most important one. I think that learning to ask the right questions, being able to think critically, effectively, and accurately about what your priorities are, what the reality of the market is, and where you stand compared to that reality, that's really what is the most valuable thing that you can have. And accurate thinking is a very undervalued skill. It's not sexy. It's not something that people often talk about, and it's actually very hard to do. Nobody really likes to engage in deep thinking and in deep thought, because when you do that, you have to face your own insecurities. There is no more chasing after illusions, no more getting pleasure out of those illusions, because it's sort of like a gambler. A gambler gets pleasure from the idea that he may win the next time he gambles. He always thinks that this next time I can actually win, and that's why he keeps doing it. He's actually getting pleasure out of it. Sure, he's not winning, but just the idea that he could win and the next round could be his, that's what drives him on. And some people who are in business are affected by the very same thing. And when you start focusing on developing your critical thinking skills, you sort of go beyond this. You face up to the harsh realities, and you actually focus on developing a process that gets you closer to your goals. And you remain accountable. You stay accountable to the process, you stay accountable to your goals, you know where you're going, and you know what you need to do to get there. So while there's nothing sexy about accurate thinking and, really thinking hard about something, this process of going beyond your biases and facing reality is what's actually going to make the difference in the end. As I said, I think this is the most valuable skill, and it's also one of the hardest to master, because we're very good at deceiving ourselves. We're very good at getting drunk on just cold water. We like to think and imagine success more than we actually want to be successful. That's what happens to a lot of people. And that's the biggest roadblock to thinking accurately. That's why you jump from the one little trick to the next little trick to the hiring the copywriter to whatever it is. It's because you don't want to face up to the reality that success in business is hard. There are no guarantees, and you actually need to go through the process. There's no avoiding that. There's no jumping straight to the big breakthrough. So, if you think about the people that we were talking about, those people who are stuck inside their businesses for years, they're not moving ahead. They're in the same place that they were 5 years ago, some of them. And if you ask yourself, why are they not moving ahead? Then you'll come to the conclusion that the one thing that they're all failing to do is that they're failing to think any better. They keep thinking the same things. They keep asking themselves the same bad questions, which keep them stuck, which keep them running and chasing and pursuing a fantasy of basically a one-trick savior who can swoop in and save their business in the same form that it's in, and they refuse to listen to the brutal facts that are delivered to them by the market. And as I was saying, I mean, this is no different than a gambler who thinks that the next spin is what will make him rich, and he refuses to face the brutal fact that the probability of winning, given the model that he has chosen, which is gambling, is infinitesimally small. And in the long run, he has almost no chance of winning. And he'd be better off playing some other kind of game. He refuses to think about this. He refuses to even contemplate the possibility. And that's why, because he fails to think better, he doesn't move ahead. And as the CEO of a business, or as an entrepreneur, I think that this is your number one job, and it's even more important than selling. And I think that accurate thinking is really that which results in a vision for the future and gives you a direction that you can pursue, and you can pursue it profitably. Without accurate thinking, and if you're purely focused on, just getting more sales, bringing more customers in for whatever you're doing now, then the point is that you're never actually able to ask the question if what you're actually doing now or what you're actually selling now should even be what you should be selling or doing right now. So I know that, let's say that you're a coach and you have a group coaching program, for example. If you don't face up to the brutal facts that you're getting from the market, and if you don't ask yourself the tough questions like, am I targeting the right audience? Do these people actually need what I'm selling? And if you don't ask yourself these questions, then you can never discover the truth, and you can never start thinking about new ways of doing things and new ways of providing more value to your market, or maybe finding a different market segment where you do provide already more value. So if you just focus on selling more of what you have, you don't notice these bigger problems that you may have inside your business. So that's why I think that sales is very important, but making sure that your business model is correct, and you have the right product or service market fit, right? There's actually demand for what you're selling. I think that that's more important. And the only way that you can get to that is through accurate thinking and practicing it consistently. So if you think about this, that's why there are people out there who have been trying to sell the exact same service unsuccessfully for years. I've met people, for example, they came to the agency and they said that we've been trying for 4 years to sell this service and we've barely made any money. We're sustaining this with money that we bring in from our job. What can we do? And I have a look at their business model and I ask myself, why are these people not successful? And the truth is because they're selling the wrong thing. And the feedback is there. They've run ads, they've driven traffic, they've tried to sell the thing, but they refuse to face up to the music. I had one client who was a coach, and he came to me and he had produced this video training series. And the quality of the videos, not just in terms of the graphic design aspect, though that was a problem for sure, but in terms of the actual content, was really bad. Like, it was terrible. I don't think that I had ever seen something so terrible, and yet he was convinced that that's valuable. And when I told him that the main problem here is the poor quality of the product, he said that I'm not the right person for him because I don't see the value in what he's doing. And that's self-delusion. You have to realize that if you're in that position, you're just deceiving yourself. You're cheating yourself. I know that in many business books you read that, you should believe in your idea even when nobody does and so on. That's true up to a point. If you believe in your idea to the point that you're delusional and you refuse to take on feedback, you are going to fail. And there's no ifs and buts, you are going to fail. And the only way that you can get around this, and you can prevent this from happening is that you have to actually practice, thinking accurately about your market and your situation. You have to practice facing up to the music and facing up to the brutal facts that your market is delivering you. If your market says we're not buying your product, you have to face up to it. They're not buying your product. Why are they not buying your product? Ask yourself these questions and try to find answers. And you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable because you don't have an answer, right? So the first time you ask a question and you're thinking, you don't have answers. The moment you have an answer, you have stopped thinking. That's just the way the process goes. When I have an answer, the thought has finished. My thinking process is done. So that's why the act of thinking is so difficult. It's uncomfortable because we feel like we don't know and we don't have the answers and we have to figure them out, and we're not even sure if we can figure them out in the first place. So that's just how it is. You have to face and accept that emotional negative effect that you feel, from thinking. It's just a result of thinking. If you weren't thinking, you wouldn't feel emotionally down. So instead of getting high on the fantasy that the next funnel or the next ad or the next campaign will make you rich, you should go back to the drawing board and try to rethink your business model and make sure that your foundations are correct and they're right. So how do you actually go about training yourself to think more accurately, and how do you go about creating this process that we talked about? So we said that there is no magic pill, and success in business is about a process, right? So how do you actually go about enacting this process based on accurate thinking that's going to move your business ahead? So I think that the first thing is that you want to start by avoiding super positive bullshit and get rich quick schemes that promise to give you an instant cure, right? There is no secret and no easy way to be successful in business, period. There's simply such a thing doesn't exist. So just get it out of your mind, get it out of your system, make a commitment that you will ignore all that, and instead you're going to devote yourself to a process of figuring things out for yourself. That's number one. You have to make this commitment. Second, I would say that you want to set time every week, usually 1 to 2 hours per week. When you review what you've done, you look at your process that you have so far, you make any adjustments to the process based on the feedback that you have, and you review your goals or remind yourself of your goals. Of course, for those of you who have nothing of this sort set up already, you have to start by actually doing that. So you have to actually create this process from scratch. And it all starts out with facing up to the brutal facts of your business. So what's actually happening? What have you tried so far? What are the results? What's actually holding you back? Why aren't you actually making more sales? What's the hang up? Why aren't you growing 3 times as fast as you are? Why aren't you going 10 times as fast as you are? What's the thing that's holding you back? And start thinking about it. Start brainstorming and facing the brutal facts. Because, if you've been in business, even for a short while, you're getting feedback, even if it's negative feedback or maybe the lack of feedback from your market. So review your any previous attempts and figure out what they're trying to tell you. What do people, in this market actually need? And really start thinking about those questions and figuring them out for yourself. Then once you do this and you start facing up to the brutal facts, I think that you have to agree with yourself that you will give your market what they want. not what you find easy to provide them with. And a lot of people make this mistake. So, for example, they have a passion, or they're good at something, or they have a skill in something, and they want to provide that to the market. Not because the market needs it, but because they're good at it. They find it easy. It's easy for them to write copy, for example. It's hard for them to do something else for their market, that their market needs a lot more. So that's the second commitment that you have to make after you face up to the brutal facts. And once you've done this, you have to set your one clear goal. And the fact is that priorities matter in life. And we simply don't have time to get everything that we want. So we have to set priorities for what is really important. That's why I say that you need just one goal. Not 2 goals, not 3 goals. You need just one goal for your business. And basically think about it this way. If you can achieve just one goal in the next year for your business, what will that goal be? If you do nothing else, do nothing else but achieve just this one goal, what will it be? What's the most important thing for you? And start brainstorming. And if you don't do this and you don't know your one goal, how can you even take your business to the next level? How do you even know where the next level is? And the reality is that most people, they have no clue where they're going. Even if they have a goal, they have vague goals that either are meaningless to them or they don't matter at all to their business. So I like to say that goals must be SMART, and that's the acronym of SMART. So it means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Don't just have a general goal, oh, my business will be bigger by next quarter. That's too vague, it's not specific. It is measurable, because you can measure it, but you have no idea if it's achievable or if it's relevant at all, and the reason you don't is because it's too vague. So you have no idea if you can actually grow your revenue by next quarter. What's going on in your industry. Are you losing clients currently? What's going on? So you have no idea if it's achievable because it's not specific enough. You need to put a number to it, and you need to make sure that it's relevant for you. And making sure that your one goal is relevant is very important. So I hear people, for example, they're not making any revenue, but they're in business. Let's say they're a copywriter, right? So they're in business, they're not making any revenue. They need money to sustain themselves. And they set their big goal as start the best copywriting podcast in the world in the next 3 months. That's a very, in my opinion, stupid goal. Because it's not at all relevant to what they need. They need to make income now, not in 3 months, not in 4 months, not in 1 year, as much as it will realistically take to actually develop a podcast and build the audience and so on. These things take time. And that's not what they need. They need a goal that's relevant and specific to them and achievable from where they are. So set one clear, SMART goal. That's the first step after you've done the preliminary work, which, as we mentioned, was basically saying no to the magic pill, saying no to any one quick trick solution, and then actually setting out time to think more accurately and facing up to the brutal facts of reality, right? So after you've done all that, you set one clear, SMART goal. And that's where you're going to work back from, right? So once you have your goal, you have to create a process for yourself. So how do I reach this goal? What do I have to do in order to reach it? So if you're a beginner copywriter, let's say that your goal is make $3,000 a month within 2 months. Let's say that that's your specific goal by providing, let's say, copywriting services on Upwork, right? So that could be what your goal is. It's very specific, it's time-bound within 2 months, it's measurable, it's achievable, and it's relevant to you. So how would you go about creating a process for this? Well, it's very simple. So you start with the end goal, you need to make that amount of money. So how can you do it through Upwork, right? You need to submit applications, right? So that's probably going to be the centerpiece of your process. So you need to submit a certain number of applications per day, and you can create a process around that. You can start testing different application styles to see what is effective and what gets responses, and go from there. So you start with the end in mind, with the goal, and then you work back and you create a process that's going to tell you, what you actually need to do to achieve that goal. And of course, over time, you're actually going to review this process. So don't expect that the process that you create in your thinking session, after you faced the brutal facts, don't think that this process is going to be set in stone. So you're going to face new brutal facts that come up, new feedback from the market, and you're going to make any adjustments you need to the process to make sure that you hit your goals. And if you do not hit your goals, then you have to reflect honestly why you have failed and come up with a better process. Learn from the experience. So this is about being accountable. There is no excuse for setting a goal and not reaching it. There's none. Zero. You have to reach it. And it's just about designing the process and then improving the process that's required to take you there. And if you fail, then you need to face up to the failure. Don't say, I failed, but I did a good enough job. There's no good enough job if you failed. You need to hold yourself accountable. So review your process, when you have future thinking sessions after you have it, and make sure that it's actually taking you to your goal. And if it's not, or if it's not taking you there quickly enough, then change it. So I would say that this is the main thing. So start practicing accurate thinking. And if you do this, your business will really make a quantum leap forward. And it's not hard. You have to start with the end in mind, with one clear, SMART goal, as we said. Then you create a process as best as you can at first that will realistically take you there. You take feedback on the way, you review your progress, and you make any adjustments to the process that you may need to make, to actually get there. And I know that people love book recommendations. So for this episode, when it comes to books, I would recommend, in terms of keeping you on the right path when it comes to thinking more clearly, a great book is The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. It's a great read, and it's actually going to give you a process for your thinking sessions, and it also has some great questions in there, that just help get your mind in motion, help you see things differently and think about things that may actually help you. And another useful read for this is actually Think and Grow Rich, which is the quintessential success book. And Napoleon Hill does talk about the importance of accurate thinking in there. And it's one of those things that few people notice. Everybody notices the burning desire, the have faith, the whatever. But very few people notice that he says that accurate thinking in there is essential if you want to get rich, if you want to make a lot of money. And it's essential not just in the financial world, it's also essential in life. Whatever goal you have to face up to the truth and react accordingly. You can't live in a fantasy world, getting high on your own fantasies and whatever. You're never going to be successful like that. So that's pretty much it for today. I would say remember what we've covered. So basically, stop searching for the magic cure. Success in business is about embracing the process. That's what's going to lead you in the end to massive success. And this process consists first and foremost in accurate thinking and facing up to the brutal facts that the market is delivering to you. And you start this process of accurate thinking by developing one SMART goal for your business. Remember what we said about SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Then after you set your goal, you go back and you create the process that you actually need to go through to achieve it. And you keep reviewing and improving the process as you get more feedback. And of course, you stay accountable, which is very important. And if you can do all this, you won't need the magic pill. This alone will make a tremendous difference in your business. So that's about it for today. Stay tuned for the next episode, and until next time, keep growing your business and providing massive value to the world. Because remember, you are the reason why we're all growing richer, our freedoms are expanding, and we're all living in greater prosperity. Thank you.